Can you legally fly your drone over a boat, a ship, or someone out in the water? A lot of people think water is a free-for-all, but it's not. And in this video, I'm going to break down clearly and accurately what UK drone law actually says about flying over lakes, rivers, lochs, and the sea. So let's start with the biggest misconception. People think if I'm over the water, or my drone's over the water, I can do what I like. Well, that's completely wrong. As you know, UK drone law is governed by the Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA. They regulate airspace, not land and not water. That's not surprising though. I don't know why I sounded surprised there. So whether you're over a field, a road, or the middle of the ocean, the same core rules to drone flying apply. Under the UK Drone Code, you must stay below 120 metres, 400 feet. Keep your drone within visual line of sight, VLOS, at all times. Keep appropriate distance from people. You'll know what distance you should be by the category and class of your drone. And avoid restricted airspace, obviously. Now, these rules apply no matter what's underneath the drone. But what about boats and ships? Legally speaking, a boat is treated the same as people or property. So the key question is, are there people involved? If the boat's empty, you're generally fine, as long as you're flying safely and within the rules. But if there are people on board, and on boats or ships, there usually will be, those people are considered uninvolved persons, unless it's a yacht, a speedboat, a dinghy, and they've agreed to be part of your flight. But if they haven't, you must keep appropriate separation, which is typically around 50 metres, depending on your drone category. And you might be flying a sub 250 gram drone in the A1 category. So be aware of what category your drone is flying in. Now, if you're talking about a crowded vessel, now that might be like a ferry, a packet boat, a cruise ship. That's a different situation entirely. Flying over crowds, as you know, is generally not permitted in the open category, and at that point you're likely into specific category operations, which means you need formal authorisation for the CAA. Now let's deal with something that causes a lot of confusion here: maritime law. Oh, you'll often hear maritime law says you can't fly here. That's usually misunderstood. Maritime law governs vessels. The CAA governs airspace. So maritime law doesn't override drone law. But that doesn't mean you can ignore everything. There are other authorities that you need to be aware of. Harbour and port authorities can impose restrictions for safety reasons. They don't control the airspace, but they do control what's happening around vessels. If you're launching from a beach, a marina, a private shoreline, you might need permission from the landowner or the local authority. If there's an emergency situation like a search and rescue, you must stay clear. Interfering with that might be an offence, and you just don't know when one might just suddenly happen. So you have to be very aware of that. And if you either get wind of a search and rescue operation happening, or you see search and rescue vehicles in the air suddenly appearing, get your drone down, land it immediately. If you don't, it's an offence, or it could be an offence. If you want to operate close to vessels or in complex environments, you might need CAA operational authorisation. So let's look at a few special cases. Busy rivers, like the Thames for example, maybe even the Clyde, often have local restrictions and heavy traffic, so the risk there is higher. Open sea and remote coastline usually means fewer people and therefore fewer restrictions, but the same core rules still apply. And remember, a moving boat is still a moving group of people. So your separation distances must be maintained at all times. Think of it as flying over a crowd. A quick note on other countries. The USA and most of Europe follow very similar principles as I've just outlined here that we follow in the UK. It's about people and safety, not what's underneath the drone. But some countries do have stricter coastal rules, so if you're going to be flying abroad in an area, over the sea, over a lake, over a river, it's always better to check before you go and fly abroad. Now, here's the simple takeaway. Yes, you can fly over water, but boats, ships, and people on the water bring you straight back to standard drone law. No loopholes, no shortcuts, just the same rules applied properly. It's not really any more complicated than that. And a lot of drone regulations in places that you can fly and can't fly aren't as complicated as people think, and sometimes it seems that they are. So if you like these common sense, jargon-free breakdowns that I'm doing, give us a thumbs up and I'll keep doing them.